What real estate pricing myth would I like to dispel? Today we are going to talk about it. Yo, I'm Adrienne, longtime Florida realtor, and I'm here to help you get your Florida life. Happy Wednesday, everyone. If you're new here, new videos come out every Wednesday. Please subscribe to follow along. Before we get to the big myth I'd like to dispel, I want to play a little game today. I'm going to show you here two views, and I want you in your head to decide which view you like better first, and then without looking at the comments, I want you to think about practically how much more would you pay for the view you like better? And eventually I want you to put that in the comments, but I don't want you to look at the comments first. Don't cheat. Then if you want to play the bonus round, I want you to sit back, try to almost forget the number you just came up with and pretend you own the better view and you are the seller. How much would you expect the buyer to attribute to that view? And if these are different numbers, that won't be the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. They may be the same. Put that in the comments too if you wish, but again, don't cheat because like all cheating, it ruins the game. What is the myth I want to dispel today? It is that price per square foot dictates pricing. Now, if you come from other parts of the country, which I know a lot of people who watch this do, you might say, oh, around here, that's a big deal. Or you might immediately know what I'm talking about because in certain parts of the country, it's more important than others. I will tell you there are realtors here in Southwest Florida who disagree with me, who do everything price per square foot, or at least think that's way high up on the list. I would tell you to watch this video and see who you agree with. I'm going to state my case. If at the end of it you think, this woman has no idea what she's talking about, I could never work with her, that's fine. I'm happy to refer you to somebody who is a price per square footer. That's not to say that price per square foot doesn't come into play at all, but we're going to discuss where it comes into play, and it is certainly not one or two on my list. What is 1 and 2 and 3? Let's talk about those things. First is view and location. The more this is important to you, the more this might seem obvious to you. I've talked a lot on this channel about boating waters and what kind of boating waters, how they add to the price. If you're a sailor, you might already know that you might pay a little bit more than somebody who has a low bridge near their house, or if you really want to be close to downtown, or there's like anywhere, location really matters. Here it tends to be sometimes more invisible because it has so much to do with boating. As far as view goes, view is a little bit subjective, but it does have standards where everybody tends to like one or the other better. It is why we played the game, obviously. We're going to talk a little bit more about the game in a moment. The second thing is interior. This should be everywhere in the country. That's where I get a little confused when people get so set on price per square foot. Not just interior upgrades, that's pretty obvious. If you have two homes, one is upgraded and one is not, and you're going to put $100,000 into the one that's not, of course, the other one's going to be more expensive. You could work out price per square foot after you consider the updates. It's a little bit, of all the things on this list, that is a little bit more mathematical to figure out. Also with interior, I will say in this area in particular, especially in certain neighborhoods, we get a lot of very experienced home buyers and homeowners. They have cleaned wasted space before. Now, that's not to say they don't want guest rooms and they don't want space they might only use twice a year, but if there's a home with like a big foyer that is not usable, sometimes that can be difficult because people look at me and say, I'm gonna have to clean this, and that's where price per square foot gets killed a little bit. Another part of the interior that you might not think about if you're from a different area, especially when it comes to anywhere near in town. Like when you go out to the rural areas, you get more farmland and more acreage. Anywhere where there's a standard size lot, which is most of Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte, You only have so much space on that lot. If a home gets too big, it will start to eat into the lanai space. That's not included in price per square foot when you're looking online. And the lanai is very important. The lanai, if you don't know that word, is the covered area, and then there's the pool cage. Technically, it's the covered area, but when I say lanai, I mean if there's a pool or an uncovered space, that too. The more house you have, because the lots are all similar size, the more it's going to cut into that, or you're going to have to go upstairs, which that has become more popular in the last few years to have a second floor, but ranch homes, one-story homes still are better sellers around here. The next topic we're going to talk about is something called conformity in real estate. Now, don't confuse conformity with cookie cutter. Conformity means that a house should kind of fit into the market that it's in. I like to describe it as you're going to a party and everybody's going to be in black tie clothes. You might have the nicest pair of jeans, expensive pair of jeans in the world, but you're not going to show up in those. You're going to show up in what everybody else is wearing. Houses are kind of the same. You want them to fit into the neighborhood. Even if you have this huge house, and if every home in the neighborhood's 2,200-ish square feet or 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, that's what we're seeing repeatedly in a neighborhood, and then somebody builds a 4,000 square foot house with 5 bedrooms, sometimes that can be difficult to sell. Although the price per square foot will look fantastic. You have to look at, okay, these are the people moving into this neighborhood, this is what they want. And they don't need the 5 bedrooms, because if they did, they wouldn't be looking in this neighborhood. Now, people will often say to me, I could do a whole video on conformity. If this confuses you, let me know and I will do a whole video on it. But it's actually really difficult sometimes to sell that oddball house, even though the price per square foot could be very low because you just don't have a market for that house looking in that neighborhood. The places where I see price per square foot affecting the price the most is in a planned community where you have production builders come in and plan out the community. Now, location and view are still, I would say, the biggest issues there in general. You could be on a lake, you could be backing up to a busy road. When they plan those communities, every lot is not the same, even though they're all close to each other. At the same time, the interiors tend to be very similar. The updates tend to be similar, at least around here, because most of our planned communities are relatively new or around the same age. You get the same level of updates. That's where price per square foot comes in a little bit more. And then you have, to top that off, where I would say price per square foot is the king, where it is used the most. The exception to my rule is flippers and investors who just want to fix something up and either rent it out or flip it. They tend to stick to the same type of areas. Whatever they do, they kind of pick their what they know and what they can work with. And they look for very raw houses, very rough houses. Interior doesn't really matter that much. They're not going to pick the best lot usually, not the worst lot, but they want some sort of middle ground. And then they're doing all the math. That's where price per square foot is coming in, because whereas you might say, oh, I can live with this, or I'll fix this up, or I'll put a little bit more money into this. They know what floors cost them. They know what to put the cabinets in cost them. They're just math. That's how they work. Why do I think so many people are so attached to price per square foot? I think a couple reasons. One, I think there are lots of areas of the country which this is the number one standard. Maybe you come from communities where it's pretty much all the same, no matter where you are, or you're looking at big pieces of land. Here it is lower on the totem pole. The other reason I think is because people want to make it simple. They want it to be black and white, and that is why we played the game in the beginning. I could have made that game much easier. I could have showed you a picture of a beautiful view and a landfill, and every single one of you would have said, oh, we'll definitely pay. We definitely like this view better, and we would pay, maybe the number wouldn't be the same, but it would be a decent number between a beautiful water view and a landfill. But It gets a little bit harder when it's just these little differences. Often customers will look at me and say, okay, well, how much more is that little difference worth? What's it worth to you? And that's difficult for buyers and sellers to land on. That's where I think they go, oh, well, let's go back to price per square foot where it's easy math. I would like it to be easy math too. I like doing that. I have a calculator. I can do the maths, no problem. In the end, that's not how real estate works. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.